September 11th, 2015, as thousands gathered in Mecca's Grand Mosque for the holiest days of Islam, a $25 million giant, capable of lifting 7 blue whales, stood watch above the world's most sacred site. In moments, that marvel of German engineering would come crashing down, turning sanctuary into disaster. The experts blamed ferocious winds, but the truth would reveal a $200 million lesson in human error. A single ignored protocol set off a chain that killed 111 people and wounded hundreds more. How could the world's safest crane become the symbol of catastrophic failure? This is the story behind the Mecca crane collapse. 5:10 p.m., Mecca. The call to prayer ripples across the marble floors, while thousands of pilgrims, wrapped in white, move shoulder to shoulder beneath the open sky. For many, this is the journey of a lifetime, a sacred arrival just days before Hajj, when the city swells with hope and devotion. Conversation hushes as the wind picks up, swirling dust against the ancient stone. In a heartbeat, the air turns wild. Thunder cracks. A sudden, violent gust, stronger than anything felt all day, tears through the square. People glance upward, searching for shelter, but there's no time. Steel screams overhead. The massive red and white boom of a crawler crane, taller than a city block, lurches, then topples forward. Its shadow flashes across the crowd. The impact is instant. A deafening crash, shattered glass, marble splintered like driftwood. Screams echo between the pillars. In seconds, the world's holiest gathering place is scattered with chaos and disbelief. Shoes, prayer beads, cell phones left behind as people scramble for safety or rush toward the wounded. The Grand Mosque, a place of peace, is suddenly a scene of devastation. In the confusion, the scale of loss isn't yet clear, but the shock is everywhere. The sanctuary feels changed. In the silence that follows, the question hangs heavy. How could a machine built to lift mountains come crashing down on the faithful? The Liebherr R11350 is not just any crane. It's a machine built to move mountains, literally. This crawler crane, when fully configured, can lift 1,350 metric tons. That's the weight of 7 blue whales all at once. Its main boom and jib stretch up to 190 meters into the sky, higher than most city skyscrapers. Power comes from a V8 diesel engine, delivering over 680 horsepower. Every day it stood beside the Grand Mosque. It represented an investment of up to $25 million, with millions more tied up in logistics, assembly, and expert crews flown in from around the world. For the Mecca expansion, this was the only tool for the job. The LR11350 was chosen because nothing else on Earth could lift the immense steel beams and marble panels required for the new mosque wings. Its tracks alone are wide enough to park a city bus on, and the counterweights stacked behind the cab weigh more than a small apartment building. In the world of construction, this crane is a legend, celebrated for its reach, its muscle, and its reliability in some of the harshest environments on the planet. But with that size comes risk. A machine this powerful demands respect. Every movement is calculated, every procedure written for a reason. When the wind picks up, every ton of steel becomes a question of physics and judgment. The LR11350 is built to withstand enormous forces, but only within the limits set by its designers. Crossing those lines turns an engineering marvel into a potential disaster. Warnings had been circulating since early that morning. Regional weather bulletins flagged the risk of severe storms, and satellite images showed a dense front closing in on Mecca. By mid-afternoon, wind speeds were climbing fast. Local anemometers later clocked gusts at over 29 meters per second, or about 65 miles per hour. That's well above the threshold set by Liebherr, the crane's manufacturer. The operating manual was clear. If winds exceeded 45 miles per hour, the main boom must be lowered and secured to the ground. On the Grand Mosque site, that instruction was not followed. The LR11350's boom Nearly 200 meters of steel stayed pinned at an 85-degree angle, almost vertical, throughout the afternoon. Responsibility for that decision didn't rest with a single person. The Saudi bin Laden Group's supervisory chain included project managers, rigging supervisors, and on-site safety officers, each with a defined role in emergency procedures. Official investigations later found no evidence of a last-minute order to lower the boom as the storm intensified. Communication between levels of authority was fragmented, and no one on record challenged the status quo. Some supervisors later cited pressure to keep the site clear for incoming pilgrims, worried that moving the crane would disrupt the flow of people and construction. Others may have assumed the crane was safe enough, or simply hoped the storm would pass. In the end, the decision or indecision meant the crane was left standing tall, exposed to the full force of the wind. The result was not a failure of metal, but a breakdown in protocol. When the microburst hit, the LR-11350 was already in the worst possible position. A crane as large as the LR-11350 doesn't fall by accident. It falls because physics leaves no other option. With its boom raised to nearly vertical, the machine became a 200-meter steel mast. One side anchored by counterweights, the other exposed like a sail. When the microburst hit, the wind didn't just push, it multiplied. The force on the boom increased with the square of the wind speed, so every extra mile per hour packed more punch than the last. At 65 miles per hour, the wind generated a sideways force strong enough to tip a 3,000-ton mass. The counterweights, more than 1,000 tons themselves, were designed to balance heavy loads, not to fight hurricane-force gusts against a vertical surface. The boom's long arm acted as a lever, turning wind pressure into torque, trying to pry the crane off its tracks. Engineers call this the moment arm. The longer the lever, the greater the turning force. With the boom up, the center of gravity shifted higher and higher, making the whole structure easier to tip. The machine's own strength became its undoing. The wind caught the boom, the torque overwhelmed the counterweights, and the crawler tracks lost their grip. In that instant, there was no stopping it. The laws of physics took over, and 3,000 tons of engineered steel came crashing down. For all the safety systems and protocols, ignoring the basic rules of force and leverage turned a construction tool into a wrecking ball. In the aftermath, the true scale of loss comes into focus. 111 people lose their lives, pilgrims from 12 different countries, each drawn here by faith and now mourned by families continents apart. Nearly 400 more are injured, many left with wounds that will never fully heal. The Grand Mosque, meant to be a sanctuary, is littered with reminders of the lives interrupted, abandoned sandals, prayer rugs, shattered hopes. The Liebherr LR-11350, once a symbol of engineering might, lies in ruin. Its $25 million price tag vanishes in a single evening, but the financial toll stretches far beyond twisted steel. Repairs, compensation, and delays push total losses over $200 million. For every number on a ledger, there is a story of a journey cut short or a future forever changed. Forensic engineers spent months combing through the wreckage and digital logs. Their verdict was blunt. The Liebherr LR-11350 had no design flaw, no mechanical failure, no hidden defect waiting to be found. Every bolt and weld met the manufacturer's exacting standards. The collapse traced back to one thing: human choices in the face of clear protocol. Manufacturer instructions required lowering the boom if winds hit 45 miles per hour. That warning wasn't just ignored, it was bypassed entirely. In response, project sites across the world began installing real-time wind monitoring systems with dashboards visible to every supervisor. Training programs now drill operators on severe weather shutdowns, not just as a box to check, but as a line that can't be crossed. The Mecca collapse became a case study, not in engineering failure, but in the consequences of disregarding written rules. The lesson: machines can be rebuilt, but lost trust and lives can't. At 5:10 p.m. on September 11, 2015, a $25 million the Liebherr LR 11350 crane collapsed into the Grand Mosque in Mecca, causing 111 deaths and injuring 394 people from 12 countries. The investigation found no mechanical failure, only a single critical breach of manufacturer protocol. The boom was left raised at 85 degrees as winds exceeded 55 miles per hour, far above the 45 miles per hour safety limit. To this day, details about the decision-making chain remain incomplete, as some internal site communications were never released. However, the forensic evidence is clear. Human error, not engineering, triggered the disaster. In response, Saudi regulators and the global industry mandated stricter wind monitoring and reinforced safety protocols. The Mecca crane collapse stands as a factual reminder that even the strongest machines are only as safe as the people who operate them and the procedures they follow.